bum bum bottom 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 bum bum doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 bum bum bottom bum bum doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 doobie doobie da 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 bum bum bottom bum bum bottom ba da da 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 ba 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 doobie doobie da da bum bum ba da.
You are now in session with the Comic Book Couples Counseling Podcast. I'm Lisa Gullickson.
I'm Brad Gullickson.
And each month we evaluate a different iconic romance within the four-color realm. In this episode, we're tripping the light fantastic as we bust out of our apartment and into another creator corner with artist Karl Stevens, who's here to discuss his new book, Penny, coming out May 4th from Chronicle Books.
I was a little nervous to give this book to you, Lisa. I was a little nervous.
Why, sweetheart?
Because it's a cat comic.
It is.
I love cat comics. I love dog comics. I love animal comics. But I also know that you, right now, have an intense desire to own an animal. And I think to own a kitty cat in particular.
I want a mammal. No shade to Peaches, my pet snake. She is lovely, a little crabby, if we're going to be honest.
She's super crabby, very bitey these days.
Yes, she snaps, McGee. But I would settle for a cat, Brad.
What?
I would settle for a cat. But what my loins want is a dog.
Maybe it's me who would really prefer a kitty cat.
Yeah, because you have some independence issues. You want to be able to go off and do your own thing.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I also like I had a very lovely dog in my life as a child. Bridget, rest in peace. And you know, I like the reason we don't have a mammal, Lisa, is because of the trauma of losing Bridget in my early 20s. It was really, really rough. And the idea of bringing another little fuzzball into my life triggers me.
I know, like you have loved and lost, and that's extremely painful. I have never loved before. Like literally every Christmas that I was in that sweet window where you're old enough to write your letters to Santa on your own, but you're not old enough to know certain secrets about Santa, I would ask for a dog. And we were only allowed to ask for 3 things because that's how many things that Jesus got. So I would ask for a dog and 2 other gifts, and I kept getting stuffed dogs. And I would try to be more specific, but it wouldn't pan out. So then I eventually was like, okay.
Pound puppies and things like that?
Yeah. And so eventually I smarted up to the fact it's like, I want a dog, like a real live dog, but I would also settle for these 3 things.
Yeah.
So I would still get 3 gifts.
I had a similar situation as a child where my mom did not want to get a dog because she went through the horror of losing her puppy when she was young. And I would, like you, every Christmas ask for a dog. And eventually I got a dog, but not because of my parents, but because our next door neighbor was trying to pawn off their dog, Bridget, who they'd had for a year, and they were moving, and for whatever reason they couldn't take a dog with them. And that neighbor, Anthony's mom, I can't remember her name, Anthony's mom said, "Brad, would you like Bridget?" And I said, yes. And then I went home and I said, Anthony's mom says we can have Bridget. And my mom, because she can't say no to this beautiful only child, said, okay, we can have Bridget. And then I had Bridget from the time I was 8 till about 22. Is that correct? Yeah, about 22. And again, that loss was absolutely brutal. And I just do not want to go through that process again, even though that I know I've allowed you into my life, and you're probably going to perish on me. Actually, most likely I'm going to perish on you. So that's going to be my revenge. That'll be my revenge.
The second you start passing away, I'm just going to pass away right before.
No, you can't do that.
I'm just going to slip right in.
No. So long and short of it, I was excited to read Karl's book because I think that his comic, The Winner, is a phenomenal creation. You can buy that from Retrofit Comics, which is in league with my comic book shop, Big Planet Comics. And when I heard that he was doing a cat comic, I got all a tingle. And Karl reached out to us and asked if he could come on the show. And I was like, yes, what's your book about? Penny, it's a cat comic. I went, oh no, this is going to fuel Lisa's cat hunger. Not her hunger, her loin situation you were talking about.
Yeah, I need to explain that, I feel. The reason I say it's because you guys know, who have been listening to the show, Brad and I do not want kids.
No.
And
gross.
And I've just never related to that. Like, whenever we would play house as kids, I would always be like, I'm the teenage girl, like always.
Right.
But it got to the point where, but I've always wanted a dog. And it's gotten to the point when, like, a friend of mine gets a dog, like, I get sad.
Yeah.
Or when I see a dog pass me on the street.
Which is often because we go on walks all the time and we're surrounded by dog people.
I ogle and I make audible, cute noises.
Uh-huh.
And so I imagine that that's what women who want babies are like. Where it's just like, it's gone past like, oh, wouldn't this be fun, to like a deep and burning desire.
Yeah, and I am starting to feel those pangs as well. We have a very cute Cocker Spaniel puppy near
Lafayette.
us. Lafayette
let me pet him the other day.
Yeah, while you were on the phone with me, and I got jealous that you were petting Lafayette without me.
Especially because Lafayette doesn't always let you touch him.
That's because he's so excitable. He gets so excitable. He's a jittery little puppy. But so those feelings are in me as well. I'm coming around to possibly wanting to have a dog or a cat in my life. I'm leaning a little more to a cat situation.
Now, here's the problem with us and cats.
Okay, yeah.
You get annoyed when I bump a shelf and an action figure falls off.
That's true.
So do you want something that can climb?
Dogs can bump things off too.
But they do not specifically climb to the top of things and knock them off for fun.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound... I don't like that idea at all.
So we would have to change the entire way we organize our collection.
Sure.
Where I feel like with a puppy, like we would probably, at least when the puppy is little and not completely house trained, have to cover our bottom shelves.
We would have to remove the hard covers off the bottom shelves for sure.
For sure. Like, but other than that, we wouldn't have to change a thing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I hear you. Now, getting back to Penny, when you started to read this comic, did experiencing Penny's world, her interior, her very catastrophic imagination, did that rustle those pangs, those emotions for wanting to have an animal?
Yes, in the beginning, but as I was reading the book, I began to wonder if I am, in fact, a house cat.
Yes, and you say this to Karl. We talk about this a little bit in the conversation that's about to follow.
Because there's something about Penny where, like, she is an indoor cat, and she leads a very cushy life. She gets wet food on the reg, but she has to create her own drama to give her life meaning, and I feel like I do that.
Well, and clearly Karl is putting his brain into Penny's brain, right? Like, by empathizing with this cat, he is communicating about himself.
I think in the beginning, and I don't want to spoil all of the good parts of this interview, so we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that, and also the comic has some twists and turns.
It does, and because it originally started as a strip, but it has evolved over time, and it's only going to get more interesting, which is so electrifying to me.
Yeah, okay, all right. I think we should stop talking about the conversation. Let's get into the conversation. It starts with a brief discussion about Tom Spurgeon. I think we say who Tom Spurgeon was, but I would encourage you that if you do not know who Tom Spurgeon was, you're listening to this on some sort of internet device, get on that Google, look him up, go start buying his books right now so that you can appreciate this first portion of this conversation before we get into Penny itself. Without further ado, here's Karl Stevens talking about Penny, which comes out May 4th from Chronicle Books. Karl, thank you so much for joining us at CBCC today. We are very excited to talk to you.
Well, likewise. Thanks for having me, Brad.
Oh,
and Lisa.
I wish you could have heard our introduction, because then I think you'd be even more nervous because we just flooded this comic with our praise. Lisa's head over heels for Penny. I'd watch out for that cat, frankly. She could be coming for me.
Yeah, well, you can take her. Just kidding. Just kidding. Sorry, Pen.
So before we talk about the book, I actually just wanted to start at the dedication. You have the book dedicated to the memory of Tom Spurgeon. And I was sort of wondering what the origin of that dedication is, and why the memory of, and not just, the name, the man.
Well, are you familiar with Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was pretty instrumental in the beginning of my career. He was the first one to really write about my work, and I'd done like 3 or 4 interviews with him. And, I mean, I would see him at shows all the time, and he was just like a close friend in comics. And when he passed away, I just finished drawing Penny. And actually, he was instrumental in me getting the gig at the Village Voice where Penny started. Penny started as a weekly comic in the Voice in 2016, and it was through Tom. He was acting as an agent for them, trying to find cartoonists. And I was on his list, and so I just thought it was appropriate to dedicate the collection to him.
I think for anyone who aspires to write or talk about comics, Tom Spurgeon is an idol and an icon, somebody that we turn to all the time. And when we went looking for interviews with you, his were the first ones that popped up on our radar.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, full disclosure, I was, I was kind of a drunken, wayward 20, early 30 something during that period. So, I mean, I haven't got back to those interviews in a while. So
nothing to be too embarrassed about.
Okay. Tom, for those who don't know, I mean, he was, he was at the Comics Journal for a long time in the 90s, or not a long time, but for a brief time. But then he had this website called the Comics Reporter, and it was sort of the hub for all things comic, whether it was, what was going on at Fantagraphics or Marvel and DC. I mean, it was really all encompassing. And he was, at the base level, just this incredible cheerleader of artists and, what he thought was good comics, but also just the community in general. I mean, he was always introducing you to other cartoonists and people, and he's just this warm-hearted, big, jolly, great guy.
Yeah. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I read a lot of his work, and I tend to think of comic critics as curators, and he was the best curator. If you followed him, he would point you in the right direction, and he was just such a celebrator of the art form, a true champion of the art form.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I absolutely miss his voice. But again, getting back to your dedication, I'm curious about the phrasing of it, the memory of. Why land on that word?
It's just, because I mean, he's gone. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, we need to keep his memory alive, because of what he stood for, what we just talked about, just his belief that the medium could be greater than it is. I mean, just always striving for some sort of artistic achievement within comics. I think that was something that he always was trying to get people to do, especially artists. I mean, so I think that when I say memory, I'm talking about that, the idea that Tom was trying to get across to everyone, which was to just make better and more interesting comics, and really just like live up to your own talents. You know, I mean, he was always trying to push you to like go further, like with what you did. So,
well, talking about comics and better, more interesting comics, I want to get into Penny, a graphic memoir about your cat. And from what I understand, this comic's origin was like a brain love child of you and your wife, Alex.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you collaborated to bring Penny to the page?
Well, it was more just, I mean, you know, like most pet owners, we're always making up voices and stories like for the cats. And when I got this opportunity to create this original comic for the Village Voice, you know, I was having a hard time trying to decide what to do for them. And so I just asked Alex, you know, what is something that like a lot of people, you know, like what's like a mainstream like topic that like a lot of people would like in a comic strip. She's like, well, just do something about Penny. So, I mean, really that's the end of the collaboration. She just kind of like, you know, she like gave me the idea to do it. But yeah, I mean, you know, Alex is really funny, and, you know, we're always, you know, coming up with stuff, but,
from what I can infer from the comic, you both have a very different energy when it comes to interacting with Penny. I would say that you are a bit more antagonistic than Alex. Like, how do you differ or complement each other as cat parents? And also, do you find the term cat parents creepy?
Yeah, a little creepy. I mean, I prefer Guardian, Cat Guardian.
Yeah.
The Jackson Galaxy aspect of it. Yeah. I mean, Alex is definitely nicer than I am as far as the cat. I mean, you know, like they're both pretty spoiled, you know, bourgeois cats. I mean, Penny has a sister too named Pepper, and
Pepper is just comic shy. How come she did not appear in these panels?
She's going to be in the sequel.
Oh, yes.
So yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just figured we'd like focus on Penny in the beginning. Although, like, now that I've been deep into the sequel, I probably should have brought her out sooner because it's a nice counterpoint to Penny. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
What I truly enjoyed about engaging with Penny is how she can at times seem so alien and then also entirely relatable at other times. And there were seriously panels where I had to pause and wonder, like, am I just a house cat? Like, am I Penny? And I was wondering, has strongly empathizing with Penny changed your relationship with her or how you think about her?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, my work is very detailed. And I mean, obviously, like, you know, I'm spending a lot of time drawing her, and I'll find after, you know, I've been working on a page, I just, you know, I start talking to her as if, you know, she is the character in the comic strip, you know? And yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely feel that she, you know, without sounding insane, that, you know, like, she like does have some like empathy for her state. I feel like she knows that she's like trapped here and there's nothing she can do about it, but she's making the best of it. You know, I mean, like, she just has this like resigned sort of expression, you know, like where she's, you know, like content, but like a little weary, I suppose.
Like, I appreciated like the fact that she has to like create this mental drama to compensate for like what is otherwise a pretty cushy life. And I do find myself doing that at times. Like, so this started as a serialized comic and now it's collected as like this chunk. Like, so how do you see the reader engaging with this? Is it the kind of thing where you see them picking it up and putting it down? Or the way I approached it today, as a long-form meditation on the life and existence of a cat?
Well, I guess the latter. I mean, well, I think it works both ways. It is one of those books, it's like Calvin, it's like a Calvin and Hobbes collection. You can just pick it up and, like read a few strips and, get a chuckle out of it and put it down. But it does work as a long form meditation on this cat's personality. And, but it's sort of like our, everyone's personality. I mean, you're one thing, like 1 minute and then like another, like the next minute, she's really, I mean, I think she's like really like reflective of the kind of neurosis that a lot of us have been going through, like since the pandemic too, just feeling trapped and, not really sure like what the future holds and, bored, but also, you have all the comforts, I mean, she's just like a, typical like middle-class American, I guess.
I mean, I was struck while I was reading it, how perfect a pandemic read it is and how easily it is to become Penny trapped in this apartment, wanting to go outside, curious about what's going on outside.
Wanting to kill seagulls.
Yes, absolutely. But then also like this idea of, she has this environment that contains her and she interacts with it in a fantastical way, or it starts to interact with her, like there's like the floors come alive at one point, possibly.
Yeah.
And so I would like to get into how Penny's your hero, but you make that apartment or the environment around her into such a character. How did you start to approach the environment as you were writing and illustrating the comic over that period of time?
Well, I guess that started when I started introducing the cat, like her toys as beings that only she interacted with. So like the reader didn't get to know what the toys were thinking because she was narrating the story of her relationship with the toys to herself. So it's like listening to someone talk on the telephone. But so it like started there. And then as I progressed and I realized that she really had nothing to do, I mean, like her only interaction was with us or the toys, then I guess, I like had to expand it somehow. So like the apartment in general, like the floors opening up and then like the portal underneath the couch that, it just started to, reveal itself. Cause, I mean, like in the middle of the night, like both of them are awake. I mean, like they're nocturnal creatures and Pepper like does this thing where I call it her singing, where she'll just start like yowling and making all these different kinds of noises, and it's really strange. It's always like around midnight. It's like the witching hour or something. And so, I just imagine that she's like conjuring this like portal to this other dimension or something.
I can't wait to hear how Pepper's voice differs from Penny's voice. We think of, like, I've never owned a mammal. Shocker. The girl with a comic book podcast has reptiles. I know. I'm such a cliche. But I, like, when you don't grow up with mammals, like, you think, oh, well, the voice of the animal is a reflection of its owner. Like, so do you feel like, because your previous work has been kind of autobiographical or autobiographically informed from what I've read. So do you feel like this memoir of Penny is like an extension of that, or is she her own person?
It started as an extension, but she's become her own person now. And like the deeper that I go into the sequel, like the more that is apparent that she is her own character. And it's kind of exciting for me because because it's true, the like bulk of my work is pretty like reality based, I guess. and like autobiographical. So, it's exciting to like write something that's like fantastical and like her her like character is definitely like similar to my personality. I could be kind of a sardonic, sarcastic, like jerk. So it's I don't know. I mean, but it's like definitely like evolved, I mean, like I don't want to give too much away in the sequel, but that's so.
I don't want to get into spoiler territory either, but I also desperately want to know. Maybe we'll make this a Patreon question because I have to ask. So there is this this is not a spoiler because it's on the back of the book, but there's a psychedelic image of Penny, and she's wondering if it's possible to occupy a different world simultaneously. And this is an ongoing theme throughout the book. So do you feel like in the context of this narrative, is that are these parallel dimensions like true for Penny, or is this like a Pan's Labyrinth coping situation?
I think it's all true for her. Like there is no, there are no boundaries of reality for her. It is just all one existence. Whether she is in this other dimension or she's in the apartment, because like it's all just alien to her. I mean, like I think her reality like lies outside in the street. I think that's where ultimately she would like to be, even though she knows that it's a lot worse out there.
Yeah, there's two-headed mice out there.
Yeah, there's two-headed mice. There's a raccoon.
But I guess it is kind of, she's already living in a parallel dimension because she is completely separated and taken from the outdoors. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, like she's lost in space, like stuck in here, ironically.
I'm curious about the process of discovery on your behalf. Because you are telling it in increments initially, the human characters enter the story by voice first, and then I was actually surprised to see the owners in the story. I was shocked by that, but then they become like a big part of the story as well. And so as you're telling the story and learning your story and what the rules of it are, can you just like talk a little bit about that process and what felt comfortable and what didn't feel comfortable? And
yeah, I think initially I wanted to keep it like Charlie Brown's teacher as far as the humans went. Just like we would be these voices that were, hovering around. And of course, Penny doesn't understand what we're saying. But then eventually, I felt it had to open up, like I felt I had to open up Penny's world a little bit and that she should see our faces, because like the real Penny does like stare at us a lot. And, cats do that, like they stare at their owner. So I figured, we like had to show our full bodies like in like that regard. And I mean, I guess just to give like the reader some, like, a person to empathize with. I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't think about it like that. Strategically, it just sort of evolved that way. And I'm sure I was just sick of drawing cats and like I wanted to draw some humans. So I definitely felt that way. Like at the end, it's like, okay, I gotta not draw a cat for at least like 6 months. So I'm kind of interested if, as you're navigating, plotting the story, if you come up with ideas that initially like spark interest, but then you go like, well, they won't necessarily work for this world, or is it kind of like a free for all? Can anything happen now within the universe of Penny? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is unlimited. Yeah, I've from like now, from like the next book on, Penny is definitely like drawn with a limited palette. But like, you know, the sequels, it's you know, you'll see, it's going to be like completely opened up to other worlds and dimensions and settings. So, I mean, most of that is just, I'm sick of drawing these floorboards. Like, if I have to mix that color, if I have to mix that bluish gray one more time, like lose my mind. Or like draw our, like, you know, IKEA dining room table.
I love how you and your wife are always reading the same 2 books. I think that's a super fun detail.
Yeah. Oh, the like Sedaris book?
Yeah, the Sedaris book and the life-changing magic of tidying up. I feel like I too am just oscillating between just different versions of those 2 books.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I should have put more books in there.
Well, you know, talking about, you know, finding Penny visually as well as her voice, when you set out on that journey, are you pulling inspiration from other type of, you know, anthropomorphic animal stories? Like, you know, I love cat manga, for example. There's lots of cat manga. There's not a ton of American cat comics.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely read a couple of just one, the Junji Ito cat diary. I came upon that like as I was working on it. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just so like pervasive in the culture, I guess. But what other cat books? What's that? Oh, like Where's Michael?
I don't know that.
Or I'm like, What's Michael?
I like Manfred the Man. But is that a cat comic or is it a man comic? Who knows?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's great.
Who did that?
It's very cute.
Manfred the Man is where it's like a cat world and their pets are people.
Are just little naked dudes. I'll have to look up the name of that author.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's that French animated film from the 70s? It's called, Alex, what's that called? It's like The Green Planet? No. Fuck.
Oh, man.
I can't remember.
Oh, that's off the hind.
But that like reminded me of that. But like it's the same. It's about these aliens that have humans as pets, and the like humans like it's actually I probably completely like ripped it off for Penny. Like come to think of it, because the like humans, you know, are reduced to this savage like state, and they like perceive the aliens as, you know, more than like what they are, you know. I mean, like they are kind of humanoid, but they're you know, very much like inside like their own heads, and they're like naked, and they're just like trapped in this like house, you know.
I think that if a cat wrote a comic about me and Brad, it would just be 2 people sitting on a couch.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you know who I was looking at a lot during Penny was Simon Hanselman. Do you know him?
No.
He's this cartoonist. He's based in Seattle. Fantagraphics has published about 4 of his books, and yeah, you should check him out. It's about it centers on these 2 characters named Meg and Mog, and it's a witch and a black cat, and they basically just sit around on a couch and get stoned and watch TV, and it's sort of like Peter Bagg. I
do
in a way.
Yeah, when you say Peter, I do know this comic. Which character? Very green face.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we have like a similar type of human. Oh yeah, it's called On the Fantastic Planet. Is that French comic, or like French animated film from the 70s? So,
I am putting it on my list for sure.
Yeah.
You know, when you're fully invested in the creation process, it's all consuming for a lot of artists. Like, where are you getting the creative resurgence to keep going? Does the art feed itself, or are you finding inspiration elsewhere?
Oh yeah, it's all finding inspiration everywhere. Yeah, I mean, I buy way too many books. And, you know, I've been buying a lot of artist editions recently.
Oh, devil's candy.
It is, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I bought the like Bernie Wrightson one recently.
Nice.
And, what else do I have here? It's like the EC Comics, the Steranko one is the Barry Winsworth Smith. Yeah, so yeah, I just take everything in that I can, and that just feeds it. But I mean, I've been feverishly drawing and wanting to be a cartoonist since I was a little kid. So I definitely have something to prove, and everything I do is not good enough. So that mental illness, I think, keeps me going.
Yeah, Lisa and I have been talking a lot about imposter syndrome lately, and the strive to be better than what we currently are, and it is both like it's motivating and also depressing. Like you balancing that, fighting that dual emotion is challenging.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, it's gotten better with age, and we started doing transcendental meditation about 7 years ago, and that's really helped to focus our minds and not be as neurotic about
Did you do
things.
it like full bore with like the whole like initial cash payment, like the down payment on your transcendental meditation? Or did you just learn it on the mean streets?
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, really went to a teacher. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. And, they give you the mantra and everything. It's great. I highly recommend it for everyone. I mean, it's worth every penny. I mean, I feel like you have to, like, that gives you like the motivation to do it, I think, initially.
I have fully flirted with the idea because I am a person actually with an anxiety disorder, but I can also get anxious about starting meditation, which is really ironic. But yes. Yeah,
well, I mean, TM's good because it's really no pressure. I mean, you're just sitting there and you're just thinking of your mantra, but you can think other thoughts, and but like you go back to the mantra. I mean, it's really like effortless. I would recommend it. I mean, I feel like I'm like fully charged afterwards. It's like it's just this sort of euphoric, like well rested feeling after those 20 minutes.
That sounds amazing.
So, it is, yeah, it's great.
That has to help put you into the mind space of Penny. I'm so excited for the sequel. Like we just got Penny, and now we have this sequel in our future.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, well, we haven't quite. I mean, we haven't pitched it to Chronicle yet. I mean, well, I've like told the editor about it, but
our hearts are set on it. So
we'll see. Yeah, I mean, well, I do this other book that I'm working on right now. That's separate from Penny, that I'm really excited about. That's really going to be something. It's a horror comic.
Ooh.
So, and it was written by a famous actor, and it's going to be published by, actually I probably shouldn't even say, but it's going to be, I mean, it's a big publisher, and I think it's going to be my masterpiece.
Oh, dude. We're very excited. We do like a horror comic.
I'm now going to hit the internets and start doing some research and see if I can puzzle this out.
You won't. Nothing's been released. I mean, I just got the contract like settled. So nothing's been announced yet.
Congratulations.
But I've been working on it for like 3 or 4 months now. So.
Oh, man. It's got to be crazy releasing a book in 2021. Things are looking up. People are getting vaccinated now, but the promotion and publishing process of a book right now has got to be super stressful.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't. I mean, it's kind of nice just to do like podcasts like this, and because it's a lot easier than like schlepping to like Comic-Cons and stuff, but which I like and I don't like. I mean, it's it can be like long days just standing behind the tables and that's what I would like traditionally do. So
yeah,
but this is like another beast. I mean, all of my other books have been through smaller publishers, so it was really just up to me to get out there and promote. But I have a great publicist at Chronicle, April Whitney, and she's been pretty on top of getting me out there and like getting the book out there and like lining up things. So
you've pretty much done it all when it comes to publishing, because you've self-published and you've done these smaller presses, and now you're with Chronicle. Like, what is something valuable you've learned from each of those avenues?
That I should have been with someone like Chronicle all along. And that self-publishing is hard, and like the smaller publishers, are nice and fantastic and will let you do whatever the hell you want, but ultimately, like, it is up to you to pimp it out. So it's not, I mean, I like having the benefit of of the bigger publisher to do a lot of that promotional work. I mean, it is up to you as well, but it's just, it seems, it's just like a little easier because like your work is just more available.
So. I can see that not everybody's fit to pimp. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be exhausting. Like, your work speaks for itself. It's absolutely amazing and beautiful. But I can't imagine pouring all of yourself into this gorgeous art with humor, and it's personal. And then you have to go out and talk about it and, really push it. It's got to be a lot.
Yeah. Like, your soul does die a little bit, like at those conventions. And someone's just kind of flipping through it. It's like, what's this about? It's about everything, man.
It's so funny. Like, I find myself just really yearning for the con experience, and I can't wait to get back. But like, at the same time, when you get back, then like you'll have all the complaints about the cons again.
Oh, of course, yeah. No one's happy.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I mean, I do love them, and actually, that is one of the drawbacks of the pandemic, because earlier on when we were plotting out the marketing strategy, they were talking about doing San Diego.
Yeah,
and like I'd never been I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con, and of course I've known about it like my whole life, and so I was so excited to go and on someone else's dime, but I don't know, like maybe next year, I guess.
Well, it's a beast of a convention. We've been going to San Diego Comic-Con. We both have family out there for the last 9 years.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's a lot.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, I would imagine.
But it's got to be like, we're the sweaty fans waiting in line to get our book signed by you. So we get a different experience. But we do love it. And I'm excited for when you do come to SPX, hopefully, or San Diego Comic-Con, because I'm totally going to wait in line for you. I found Penny amazing. What I'm currently excited about in comics is your stuff. I think it's fabulous. And I'm not just going to read the cat books. I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to read your other books. And I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, thanks, Lisa.
Carl, where can our listeners find you online? Where can they hunt you down?
Well, I'm on Instagram and Twitter with the same handle, and that's at Karl Stevens Art, KarlStevensArt. And that's pretty much it. I don't have a website. I just use those social media platforms.
Does a person really need one anymore? That's a conversation for another time.
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, it's like so immediate, and it's hard to keep the website updated. I mean, I don't do I don't do any really like commercial illustration anymore. So plus I think a lot of art directors go to your social media first. So
I mean, that's been our experience. We've had the website up for a while, but like it's Twitter really where we connect with everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a golden age.
Yeah. Well, Carl, thank you so much for joining us on Comic Book Couples Counseling. May the 4th is the official release date of Penny.
Damn right.
You're right. Yeah.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes. Don't watch The Bad Batch on Disney Plus on May the 4th. Go get Penny, or do both. Watch.
Not mutually exclusive.
Watch The Bad Batch and read Penny at the same time.
That's right. Oh man, are you Mandalorian fans?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah.
Really
I can't wait. Actually, do you know Jeffrey Brown, the cartoonist?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, that's like a joke that some of my cartoonist friends are saying now. It's like, oh, like you're going to be Jeff Brown. You're going to do a couple cat books through Chronicle, and then you're going to do a Star Wars book, right?
I mean, I could see Penny in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Well, I do have a Lando story that I want to do.
Oh.
So, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
All right.
I'm too committed. I'm too committed right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll put that petition out there for that Lando story.
Yeah. Well, it's a Lando Han Solo. I mean, of course.
Yeah. Well,
Han Solo's in it too, but it's mostly Lando.
I think all things should have more Lando in them.
I think so too. He needs to be developed more.
I agree.
oh man.
Well, is there like a movie coming out?
Disney Plus series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Everything's a Disney Plus series now.
Right. Yeah. There's no movies. But is Donald Glover?
They haven't officially said.
But I would be brokenhearted if he wasn't.
Well, I think it's going to be like a combo situation. Like, I like the idea of a young Indiana Jones like story where you get a little bit of both Landos. Mm-hmm. I think that's doable.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Should definitely do that.
Well, I'll pitch that to Disney now.
Awesome.
Karl, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We're going to let you go.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Say hi to Penny for us.
Well,
give her the scritches.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, I can't believe he mentioned Star Wars. Could we be getting a Lando comic from Karl Stevens in the future?
I seriously hope so. I'm down for anything Karl Stevens draws or writes.
Yeah.
I am a fan.
And even though he told us not to go to the internet and start researching what his possible masterpiece is going to be, what that actor that he is working with, I did go to the internet and I did do some snooping. And guess what, Lisa? I found out nothing.
Oh, okay. I was really excited.
No, I did see that Emilia Clarke has a comic that she has just announced that she is writing. And I was like, when I saw Emilia Clarke comic, I was like, oh, Emilia Clarke and Karl Stevens would be a great combination. But no, that's not the connection, I'm afraid.
Well, we'll just have to stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Now, listeners, we should let you know that you did not hear the entire Karl Stevens conversation. There is a director's cut of this chat over in our Patreon feed. We have an extra 10 minutes with Stevens discussing the comics he's currently reading and excited about, and also forcing us to answer those questions as well.
Yeah, so if you want the intimate details, you have to get exclusive with us.
Yeah, we have links in the show notes. Join up with our Patreon community. We've got lots of cool things going on over there. Bonus episodes. We're talking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Plus, we do director's cuts for all of our interviews. So there's director's cuts of our Kevin Hanna conversation about the Mignola documentary Drawing Monsters. There's a director's cut version of the Rob Williams chat that we had about 2000 AD and Judge Dredd. So jump on over. Click on the link in the show notes. Join us. One of us. Now,
Gooble gobble. So, listeners, Brad and I have been thinking, rooms don't generally have just one corner. When you are in a room, there are 4 corners. So what do we have coming up next week, Brad?
Yeah, so we just did the Rob Williams conversation. This is the Karl Stevens conversation. We're experimenting with having a creator corner month. Our next episode is going to be with writer Alex Decampi discussing her new graphic novel Full Tilt Boogie, which she calls a love letter to space operas. Alex is the writer of one of our favorite comics from last year, Dracula Motherfucker. If you have not read that comic yet, you gotta do so ASAP. One, it's a brilliant spin on the Dracula myth, but also Erica Henderson's art is psychedelic and noir and colorful. I know that's an oxymoron, but it's true. And then after that, we're going to have Jordan Morris on the show talking about his graphic novel Bubble coming from First Second Books.
I am beside myself for this interview.
Yeah, you are.
I am a podcast nerd.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jordan Jesse Go. I get super excited whenever he is paneling on Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. And I listened to the podcast bubble when it originally came out as like an audio drama. It's kind of like if Buffy the Vampire Slayer was an Uber driver. It's hard to explain.
I'm sold.
It's going to make a perfect comic book. So I'm so excited to read it and even more excited to talk to Jordan.
Yeah, we just got the PDF in our email the other day, so I'm going to dive into that this weekend. But listeners, don't worry. Our little Creator Corner experiment month is coming to a close, and we will be back on our regular game with a massive 4-episode series dissecting the romantic woes of Reed and Sue Richards as seen throughout the 60 years of Fantastic Four continuity. It's been way too long since we've covered one couple over multiple episodes, and I'm extremely excited to get back to it and do it with this couple.
These Creator Corners have been a blast.
Yes.
But also, they have allowed us to get a jump on our Fantastic Four series.
Yeah.
Because our regular format episodes are a tremendous amount of work. So we appreciate your patience and buying us a little time. And these interviews, if I may say so myself, are amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I love these interviews, but I'm also anxious to get back to the Fantastic Four and our normal format. And I think we're putting even more effort and more work into these Fantastic Four episodes as we're gearing up to the 60th anniversary in August. So, yeah, super, super excited for everything that's going on in Comic Book Couples Counseling Land.
We haven't changed our copy since Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I'm just going to use it. Okay, Brad, let's get out of here. This mask is starting to smell weird. Where can our listeners send their words of affirmation to you?
You can find me on all social medias at MouthDork. If you have words of affirmation for our logo, you can send them to Aaron Prescott at A Cool Hand Fluke. And if you have some words of affirmation for our radical banner art, send them over to Karen Charm at Karen_X-Men fan. Lisa, where can our listeners send their words of affirmation to you?
I am always accepting words of affirmation at Sidewalk Siren on Instagram and Twitter. If you'd like to spend more quality time with us, you can subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
And Google Podcasts now, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If you'd like to get exclusive, you can join our Patreon, where you'll get more content, including weekly bonus episodes.
If you'd like to reach out and touch us electronically, you can email the podcast, cbccpodcast@gmail.com. You can visit our website, www.comicbookcouplescounseling.com, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CBCC Podcast.
You can give us the gift of 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, and if you'd like to do an act of service, why not write a review of the show while you're there? We are fluent in all 5 love languages. It really warms our hearts and helps the pod.
So until next time, friends, keep your love tank full
And your psychic rapport open.
Doopy doopy. Bum bum ba da bum bum ba da